Welcome to Garden Cafe. I'm Maureen, and this is my Central Texas Zone 8B 9A garden. Incredibly humid today. What I'm going to be focusing on is my tiny pond and the waterfall and the plants that are around it. And I'm going to start with the most difficult ones to reach, the ones behind the little waterfall, and I'll bring you in closer. So my focus back here are these two pots, and they used to have these gorgeous petunias in there and pretty much were beautiful all spring. This is well past the time when the petunias start going south and you really need to plant something else or replace these pots with something else. Just all the rains we've had lately, I just have a lot of deferred maintenance, deferred plans in the garden that I'm really trying to catch up on. So that's my goal. But getting back here is a little trickier than it looks, climbing back here. There's very little space. It's mostly rocks up against that fence. So I want to do this in one big activity. So I'm going to prepare new pots. Frankly, that one I put back there, it's just one of those plastic ones. I don't like the look of it. And this one's terracotta. It's pretty. I might keep that, but I have another terracotta pot its size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create the new pots here and then just replace them. As I said, getting back there is tricky, so I'd like to do it in as few trips as possible. This is one of the pots. I think I will like this one in place of the black one that's over the waterfall right now. And the other one, as I said, is terracotta, but I know I have another terracotta pot around the same size in the garage, so I'll bring that out. My plan is purslane, kind of a go-to Texas, Central Texas, will bloom all summer plant. These have been, I just literally picked them up from Home Depot. They were pretty much in the shade in there. Not the happiest plant in the world at the moment, but I have no doubt it will perk up. And I'm also going to take a few of the purslane from, let me show you. I'm going to take a few of the purslane out of the well. They've filled in so much. They're absolutely overflowing, and I love the bicolor in this. So I'm going to take a small amount of these and put them in the middle of the red and the yellow that I have on the back porch in each pot. So basically think, 3 different colored purslanes in each of the pots going behind the waterfall. These fill in super fast. You can see, looking back at my planting or transition from spring to summer video, when I put these in, that they were like 3 tiny little sections that I put in here, and it has filled in this much. So I'm not concerned about pulling a few out. And I only need 2, and it looks like I've got the pink with the yellow inside, and it looks like I have the orange too. So maybe I'll take 1 of each. And I'm just going down in here to find a clump that's growing out of the soil that I can take from one of the main plants here. I'm going to try to cause as little damage as possible. All right, here we go. Here we go. Okay, and that will grow. Okay, so this is from the orange. Plenty of roots for that. All right. And I do want to get some of this pink. I'm just putting some more soil around where I pulled out this last one. And these guys are really, at least in Central Texas, they're difficult to kill. You can basically cut a piece off, stick it in the soil, and it will grow. These are wonderful plants for our area. All right, I want to find one of the pink sections. I think over here. And actually, this one branch. Okay. I may take a cutting from this for the second. These are growing straight out of the main root here, and I do not want to disturb that. And as long as you keep the soil very moist, these things root very rapidly. So I'm going to take out that section. And again, as I said, this area will rapidly fill in. There is a lot of good soil in these pots, soaking wet from all of the storms we've been having. And I just found out we're expecting thunderstorms again tonight. Central Texas has been getting walloped. So I don't want to throw away any of this soil. I'm just going to put it in here. I'm going to mix it with some fresh, much drier soil. I'll put in some plant tone and we'll get it nice and healthy for the plants I have going behind the pond. This is muck, people. And although this part does have drainage, and it is important for these plants to have drainage, it was sitting inside of another pot that had no drainage. So, all right. Got all of that. And although I'm not going to need all of this soil for these two pots, I'm going to create this and I'll just use it when I'm planting out my seedlings. I still have a ton of zinnia, profusion zinnia, and the taller zinnias, and several seed dahlias still have to go out. Again, rain has been keeping me out of the garden lately, so my list at this point is incredibly long. But I wanted to do this entire pond, teeny pond, as a project because when you walk out on my back porch, that is your view. That tiny pond. I'm just going to put the rest of this flower tone in here. Mix it up. Okay, I think this soil's good. Ready to go. All right. Okay, so as I said, we're going to be using this one, which I think that tulip edge will be pretty on the one immediately over. Yeah, I think so. Over the waterfall. And then this one, which, oh, no, lost. Broken branch. And this was the plants I took out of the well. But this one was really inexpensive. I love the look of it. It's plastic, not terracotta, but I love the decorations on the side. I think that'll be really great where the terracotta one is over there. So I'm just going to put soil in both for the moment. Not completely full. And I'll place the plants and then add more soil. Ooh, this one's a little heavy. In my mind, I was going to be able to have everything ready, so I'd make one trip behind the little waterfall, but these things are a little heavier than I thought, so it may end up being two. All right, let me move the camera. I'm going to do the rest of this on the table. There is no question I have more than I need. As I said, these fill in pretty dang quick. I have this big yellow, which I plan on dividing into two. I have one of the darker red, which will go one in each pot. And then I have the cuttings I just got out of the well, and I'll split those up as well, maybe in between, since this and that one are solid colors and the peach is more bicolor. That's what I may do. I may put the reds on the outside Now, I think I'll do the yellow on the inside, in the middle, and then the bicolor on the other. Yeah, I think that'll be pretty. But I clearly have more purslane than I need, but let's go with what we have. Okay, purslane is one of those that is clearly so desperately unhappy when you move it, when you plant it somewhere other than where it's been growing, and it looks awful. But it puts almost 100% of his energy into creating new roots and then growing very full. Again, refer to my video, Bridging Spring to Summer. That's when I planted these, or the inside ones, into the well, and you'll see how sparse and sad they looked then. And well, as you just saw, absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to fill in really good soil up and around these roots, and then we're going to be ready to head to behind the pond. Okay, so these are ready to go. I think what I'm going to do is bring each one of these back separately. They're a little heavier than I thought. And I'll bring back the pots that are back there now with the dying petunias. And then I'll go back with the tools I need to clip back some of that longer growing lantana and holly to give this more of a chance to shine. Well, the pot that was back here was so heavy I ended up dropping it on the pot that's there now. So I'm going to go back. I'll add more soil to it and just try to move it. I think it needs to move a little bit over to the left. But I had to come back for my tools anyway, so let me get back there. And then we're supposed to get more rain this afternoon. I'm going to water both of these very well while I'm back there. This down here, I see, where, let me try to point to it here. This down here growing out of the rocks, seriously need to cut it. I'm going to see how easily I can reach it if I move the new pot back just for a couple minutes. I have a feeling though, I'm going to need one of those clippers, you know, with the extension on it to get to that, but we'll see. Heading back there now. right, so I'm happy with how this looks. Obviously, I fully expect these to fill in and spill over the same way they are in the well pretty rapidly. I cut back the holly and got cut for it. That stuff is spiky. And then I cut back some of the lantana over here. That just ends up being a huge snuffleupagus plant. It's usually in full bloom this time of year, but with so much rain and so many clouds, it just has not been showing its colors yet. But I did trim it back because it will completely take over that entire area. But I'm happy with that. Down here, I just did a few months ago where I actually went into this little tiny pond, pulled out all of the leaves, all of the growth, and the roots, took out the tubers, cut off the roots and the leaves, put it back in square one with water plant fertilizer, and boy, folks, this water lily is a loving life. I have not been really happy because the water lilies, since this is mounded up so high, are kind of hidden. You can sort of see them, and I'll give you a closer view here and here, but it's really difficult to see them. I want to get in there and cut some of this mound down a little and leaving the lily pads, but to do that I'd have to get into that pond, which I got to tell you folks, I am not looking forward to. That one's probably going to go to the bottom of my list. From this angle, you can see the beautiful water lilies. I just wish I could see them from our back porch. I may get on there sooner than I think. Anyway, for the moment, this is on a back burner. Continuing with my fixing up around the pond, I think I'm going to cut this long branch of lantana back here. I'm going to cut back some of the holly that is up here. And that poor little wagon with the fisherman boy, that has no plants in it. I'm going to have to rethink of what I'll plant in there. This time of year, not a whole lot loves the absolute brutal heat and brutal shade. Maybe a coleus. All right, I'll think of that. Actually, I have a lot of coleus around the yard, and I could probably put one in there. Let me think about that. But he's fallen over. Of course, I tripped over him going back with the other pots. So I'll fix him back up, cut back some of the holly, and then start working down here in the verbenas. But let me start back there. I have coleus this year planted throughout my yard. This I actually call my coleus garden. This entire area was grass. My husband and I turned it into a massive no-till garden last fall. We put down cardboard, soil, then mulch, and then let it sit for the winter. And then we've been planting all of these lovely shade plants throughout here, and I'm just loving how this is looking. But I don't want to, these are still kind of small, and they don't have any little babies, little branches that are coming off yet that are growing their own roots. So I don't think, and I definitely don't want to dig any of these up. So I think I'm going to leave these alone, but I have another option. This is a coleus that was on the death row rack last year. I mean, not last year, this summer. And I planted back here, and this is so huge that I am betting I can find, oh, here's what, something, because what happens is the branches grow, they kind of lay down just the weight of them, and then they start, all right, let me do this one, roots. They start growing roots. As you can see, one started growing roots. So I'm thinking this color between both of those what hollies, the dark leaf hollies, I think would be beautiful. Let me see if I can find another little one, and we'll put it in that pot with the little fisher boy. Let's see if I can find one that's already started to grow some roots. Let's see. Oh, maybe here. Okay, I think that one too. These guys were getting buried. Obviously, they're getting eaten by something. But I think if I put them in that pot, oh, that one broke, and keep them moist, they will root. And I think that this combination between those two will look pretty. So let's go put those in that pot. I'm going to reuse this pot because it's squished and it's the perfect shape to fit in that wagon. And I'm basically going to just loosen this soil up and plant the coleus cuttings in. I might just add a little bit of the flower chum. I think I put most of it in that other soil, and actually I may use some of that soil in here just to kind of freshen this up. Yeah, let me do that. All right, plenty of flower tone. This is all good soil. Loosen it up, get some roots out of here. I want to say I put snapdragons in here in the spring, and again, they were beautiful for a couple of months, and we're time to move on. All right, so since it's going to be squished in the wagon in this direction, I'm going to plant them so that they're all sort of facing in this direction. And wherever there is a leaf node where the leaves come out, this has the possibility of growing roots. So I'm going to put the soil not only up to this line, but also up to this second line to give this little guy the best chance. I'm going to plant him back further to root and start growing. Coleus are not incredibly difficult to grow, but they can be, and this one actually has roots, they can be a little persnickety at times on whether or not they want to make it. So 50-50, but as you saw, I have so many coleus in my yard of so many different colors that if these don't make it, I'll just go take a cutting from another one. So at least 2 nodes from each one of these that I took off of that other coleus are in under the soil. So that should give them a fairly decent chance. And this guy over here, although he looks awfully sad, he has roots. So, and this with the roots is one of the extra ones that I took out of the well. It's a purslane. Do not think it's going to do well. I do not think it gets enough sun back there, but let's give it a try. The worst that can happen is it won't take root and it won't do well. But rather than throw it away, might as well see what happens because it's all an experiment. Okay, let's go put him back with the little fisher boy. Okay, so that's a pot with the fisher boy. No fishing pole. We think one of the little critters must have run off with it. And over the waterfall, filled it up. 2 of those pots filled with purslane. So all of this done with what I already have planted in the yard, except for 2 of the purslane that I bought very inexpensive from Hobby Lobby, but the others taken out of the well. So if you're looking for spots to fill in your yard, look around your yard. My guess is you have something in there that you really do love and that you absolutely would love to share in other parts of your yard. So now I'm going to move to the lower left side of the pond. Down here, we've got sulfur cosmos that needs to be cut back. Gorgeous pink and white verbena that is just not blooming. I think this is one of the plants that did not appreciate being underwater and all those storms here in central Texas. So I'm going to give the purple and white verbena a huge haircut. I'm going to cut back the sulfur cosmos down to where you see some fresh green in here, hoping that it'll flush out with some new flowers because those are absolutely gorgeous. The petunias here, these are the last of the petunias that are surviving. I've already cut them back a lot. I think I will cut them back from over here where they're kind of bumping into the angelonium just to give that a little space. So in here it's just going to be, and then trimming this little bush back just a tiny bit. So over here this is just going to be a lot of clipping to clean it up just a bit. Happy with the progress so far. Again, it looks very anemic, but I do believe in just a few days you're going to see a huge turnaround, and I'll attach a short video of what this looks like by Friday. It's Monday right now. And over there, the pot with the little boy, coleus, fingers crossed. I think that should do fine. And obviously cutting back the holly and the lantana in the back there just to make it more manageable. And I'd like it to grow a little bushier. And then down here on the lower left, trimmed a lot of stuff back. I'm going to throw a little more soil there in the middle of the verbena. A lot of the roots are showing. And again, I think that 100% has to do with the terrible storms we've had here in the last few weeks. So we're moving along the front, and I trimmed back those petunias to give these angelonium a little air. They were getting a bit overrun. I pulled out the sunshine gazania here, which is so pretty, but that one definitely was finished. Let's see what we have here. Some more angelonium and sweet William, and there is another sunshine gazania. Now these are gorgeous and the flowers are so beautiful, but it's clearly very sad looking, and I don't know whether that's just the lifespan of the plant or once again sitting in the water. That one I'll trim back. That one does not look like it's completely finished, so I'm going to give it another chance a little while longer. And then sweet William, and then coming over to the right hand side, I'm relatively happy on the right hand side. I've got the pots with the begonias that I planted in the spring to summer transition are remarkably doing very well. They fell down twice in the past storms. I do have them velcroed back to the fence, so that should protect them. This seed dahlia, although it was blooming beautifully not too long ago, around this time of year anyway, and I'll bring you in closer when I do that one, it really needs to be clipped back, and it will grow again and give me more flowers in September and October. The sweet William and the angelonium are growing nicely. I'm happy with those. The calendula back here is looking really sad. I think I'm just going to clip that back. I'm not going to pull it out. I want to leave it in there to see if it comes back next year, but I will clip it back to the soil. The pink and white verbena is just loving life over here. I think that this area drained much better in the storms than the left side of the pond. So I'm happy here. I'm now happy with the hanging pots back there, and those begonias are growing bigger just as I had hoped they would. So I think what I'm going to focus on the right hand side is I'm cutting back these dahlias. There are leaves growing at the bottom. I think it stopped sending energy in the hottest part of the months for me to the top of the plant, and it starts focusing on new growth on the bottom. So I just help it along by cutting it short and letting that new growth grow in. I'll bring you in closer. So if you look down here, you'll see we're already getting small dahlia plants. Leaves are growing at the base. So what I'm going to do is cut all of these off down to where I see the lowest points of growth. And we'll start over again from here. So let's get started. I know that seems pretty dramatic, folks, but in the end, the second flush of plants in the fall end up actually being quite gorgeous. Spring is obviously beautiful too, but I don't know, that second flush last year was awesome. And my ixora started growing back after, of course, I planted the seed dahlia, which was a bit surprising. So this way, the ixora will get a little bit more light than it has been getting. So I'm happy with how this looks, and I'll give you a distance view of what it is now. All right, so everything I wanted to do around the tiny pond and waterfall, I think I've accomplished. So the dahlias have been cut down there. They will grow back, I promise you. Ixora is now getting light. I like that, and frankly, it's opened up back here where the hanging pots are far more visible from this angle. So from the right-hand side to the left, that is the area where I cut back the dahlias. Along here, I still don't know about the sunshine gazanias. I think I'm going to give them another week, let it dry out, see if it is any happier at all. Along here, I thinned it out a bit, removing the sunshine gazania that had already died. Over on the left-hand side, bunch of cutting back. Again, I'm going to put soil right in the center there where many of the verbena roots are being exposed. Up towards the back, the pot with the little boy fisherman, transplanted some cuttings and some little root babies from some very beautiful coleus to see if they will take over there. And then along the back of the little waterfall are the two pots with the purslane in them. And I was actually able to reach those branches. Probably not the brightest plan I've ever had. I could have seen it. Would not have surprised me if I had gone headlong into the water, but I accomplished it. It's done. So all in all, I'm pretty pleased.